For question 1A, the question asks us to calculate the point estimator for the mean daily. So we will get 1226 from here, total up from here, and then over with n, which is 25. So we will get the 49.44. So the next question is estimate 95% confidence interval, the mean daily. So we know that the standard deviations, the mean and variance. So we just use the Z distribution, and then after we get the X bar, we have the standard deviation, we have n, we have alpha over 2. How we get the alpha, which is 95%, 100% over with minus with 95%, get 5%. So 5% is our alpha. So and then plug in like this, and we find the Z score, table Z table, and then we get Z table 1.96 for Z 0.0025, and then we calculate the total of left hand side and right hand side. So we get the 46.108 and then 52.772. Next question, construct a 99% confidence interval population variance of Delhi electricity. So for variance, we have only one formula only this one, but we need to find the S2 first. So how to find the S2? This is our formula. So we just need to have xi square and total xi, square and total xi. So after we get the total xi square, we minus with this formula, and then plug in the value, we will get S2 51.5067, and then we back to the first formula, our variance formula, and then plug in, and then we need to find the chi-squared for 0.00524. We got 45.558, and then for right hand side, we need to find chi-squared 0.99524. We got 9.886, and the final answer will be 27.1338 and 125.0416. So question B1, they ask us to find the determinant minimum sample size n. So because we have mu x bar and need to find the n, we use CLT because we have all the requirements. So we construct until we get x bar as our objective. So we get the new statement like this, and plug in into our formula. So we need to left the Z standalone, and then we will get until here, and after we simplify, we get here. So we write back set n over 3, and how we get the 1.96 is we take from 0.95 from here, Z table, Z score. So after we check from the table, we get 1.96. So set n, we times 1.96 with 3, we get this, and final answer we get n 34.5744. But because of this is talk about numbers, so we need to give a exact number. So we take that as 35. So the answer will be minimum sample size required is 35. Next question, they ask to using value of n, find a 90% confidence interval for mu when total xi 2008-6. So because of we know the standard deviation from here, so we can use Z distribution also, like question 1A2. So now this is the formula Z distribution, like in the x bar, this is x bar, the formula x bar, then we get this for answer x bar, like in the x bar Z, and standard deviation over set n, same goes to right hand side, and then we find that Z 0.05 is 1.6449, So we calculate the total of left hand side and right hand side. We will get the answer 77.4064 and 84.0794. For question 2A, we need to derive a general formula, confidence interval, difference between two means. So the keywords is difference between two means. So this is basically the formula we need to memorize. So this is our first step, and then this is our second step, and we need to left in third step for mu1 minus mu2. We need to stand these things alone. So after we simplify the left hand side and right hand side, we will get the final answer is like this. So that's the final answer for question 2A.
Okay, moving on to question 2B. So from the question, we can find the information, which is for brand A, the sample size is 12, the X bar is 36,300, and the population standard deviation is 5,000. And for brand B, the sample size is 12, the X bar is 38,100, and the population standard deviation is 6,100. So to find alpha, 1 minus alpha is equals to 0.95. Then alpha will equal to 0.05, and alpha over 2 will equal to 0.025. Then we need to find the critical Z of alpha over 2, which is Z 0.025 equals to 1.96. We can find on the table for percentage points of the normal distribution. So then to find the 95% confidence interval for the difference of two means, we can use the formula that we have derived from question A, which is the X bar 1 minus X bar 2 minus critical Z alpha over 2 times with standard error. Then that is the left hand side. For the right hand side, we need to find also the difference of 2 X bar plus critical Z alpha over 2 and times with standard error. So the difference of 2 X bar, which is 36,300 minus 38,100, is equals to negative 1,800, and minus with critical Z 0.025, which is minus 1.96, and times with the standard error, which is the variance of brand A over 12 plus variance of brand B over 12. Then we square root the answer. Then we will get negative 1.96 over 8 times with 2,276.88 for the left hand side. For the right hand side, we need to find the difference of the X bar, which is we will get the same, negative 1,800, but we plus it with Z critical Z 0.025, which is 1.96, times with the standard error, which is 2,276.88. Then for the left hand side, we will get the answer negative 6,262.69. And for the right hand side is 2,662.69. So we are 95% confidence that the difference between the two brands of tire life is negative 6,262.69 and 2,662.69. Then for question C, based on part B, can you conclude that these two brands of tires life are the same? Justify your answer. So the answer is both brands tire life is the same because the value 0 is included in the 95% confidence interval that is calculated in question B. Range from negative 6,262.69 km to 2,662.69 km. So there is no statistically different between the population means at the 5% significance level. Okay, so for question 3A, we need to find 99% confidence interval for difference between two mean times spent by the doctors and what can be concluded from the calculated interval. So from the question, we can point out the first sample value is 11, the X bar is 19, and the standard deviation is 2.7. And for the second sample, the sample value is 25, the X bar is 15.5, and the standard deviation is 2.1. So to find the alpha, 1 minus alpha is equal to 0.99. Alpha equals to 0.01. Then alpha over 2 is equal to 0.005. So since the sample size is small, to find the pool standard deviation, so we need to use the formula 1 minus 1 times with variance, and plus and 2 minus 1 times with variance, and over the degree of freedom, which is sample 1 plus value of sample 2 minus 2. So we will sub the value that we have point out from the question into the formula, then we will get 2.2928. 2.2928. So since the sample size is small, we will use the formula x bar minus x bar 2 plus minus critical table value alpha over 2 and 1 plus and 2 minus 2, which is the degree of freedom, times with the pool standard deviation, times with square root of 1 over n1 plus 1 over n2. So for the difference between the x bar, we will get 90 minus 15.5, which is 3.5, plus minus with the critical value of 0.005, which is alpha over 2, and the degree of freedom 34. So we will get the value of critical value, which is 2.7316. And for the times with the pool standard deviation, which is 2.292827.692, times with the square root of 1 over n1 plus 1 over n2, which is square root of 1 over 1 over 11 plus 1 over 25, which is 0.361813613. Then we will calculate, and the answer will be 3.5 plus minus with 2.266070546. Then we will get the interval, which is 1.2339 and 5.7661. So we are 99% confident that the confidence interval for difference time span by doctor is between 1.2339 and 5.7661.